Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Let's Buy podcast. We are your host, Nikita, and
Sai, and today we'll be talking about books, and it's basically books we like. And there's like 12 books, I think, that we're talking about. We would recommend every person hearing our podcast to read these books, and as well as we wrote 4 books that did not appeal as much. So we're gonna start the list with books we like.
okay, starting off with the Shadowhunter Chronicles. Now, let me just say, I'm obsessed at this point. I've already read The Infernal Devices, and I'm in the fourth book of The Mortal Instruments. So, currently loving it. But since finals are coming, I'm not exactly like fully like just straight up reading all the time because we have to study because our exams came like a month earlier than we were supposed to get. So now we're just like
Yeah.
cramming up all the portion. Anyways, that's a different topic. So yeah, Shadowhunter Chronicles.
Okay, for me, Shadowhunter Chronicles, I also read the Infernal Devices and I absolutely loved it. And I
Mhm.
started the Mortal Instrument yesterday, but I don't think I can actually read the book because of exams in
Finals, yeah.
12. So, yeah,
I think
I'm
we'll
gonna go
say
with
that
a
for
slow
like a
reading process.
yeah, we'll say that for a
Yeah,
next episode where we just talk about Shadowhunters and the Shadowhunter Chronicles in
yeah,
general.
just because it's amazing.
I know. Anyways,
Yeah.
moving on to the second book. The second book that like it's a series that is The Throne of Glass, and I personally like this. I don't think Sai has read it. Have you read it, Sai?
No, I haven't read it. It's like what, so many books, and yeah, I haven't got
Yeah,
the
it's
time to read those things.
it's
Yeah.
actually really good. I personally it's one of my favorite series ever. And it's just, there's like a lot of emotions you go through. It's like an emotional roller coaster. There are a lot of deaths, a lot of happy stuff, and like the ending is great. So I love that. And I love Aylin's character. She's just like one of the most strongest women in books that I've seen. Even with Tessa and Clary from the Shadowhunter Chronicles, I feel the same way. They're like strong women, brave women in general. So they're like really inspiring. So yeah. Next up, we're going to talk about One of Us is Lying. So
One
this
of Us
book,
is Lying.
yeah, this book,
Yeah.
let me just say, my friend actually, we were just talking, and then I think it was in seventh grade. We were just talking with, I was just talking with her, and she told me like we were giving each other book recommendations, and she told me, read One of Us is Lying, you'll love it. And I was like, maybe I'll read it for sure, but like, yeah. So then I start reading it, and I finished reading it. I'm like, that was one of the hands down best books. And like Karen M. McManus, I think. She's one of my favorite authors. I like all four of her books. They're really good. Especially my favorite one is One of Us is Lying for sure because it's the first book and the plot twists are amazing. So never expected stuff to happen, but it did happen and then becomes like super good. So yeah, Sai, what was your experience?
Okay, so starting off like this thing, as you said, it is the best and the craziest book you can ever get in your whole life. I was just searching up books I want to read, and I'm like, oh, there's some book called One of Us is Lying, and then it's like really like every time on my Kindle recommendations, I'm like, maybe I should start reading it, and then I bought the book, obviously, and then I started reading it. I'm like, oh my god, really? Is this how this thing's gonna end up? And then you have so many, perspectives of thinking who actually
Exactly.
did
And
this.
you like at each chapter, you change your answer, like, oh, okay, this person killed him. And then finally, it's just like a plot twist you never ever would have imagined.
Yeah, I'm like, in the end, it's just so much information to, just taking. I'm like, oh my god, I wish I knew this before. There was just like a emotion roller coaster. I just can't tell you. It was like a really good book. It's still my favorite book out there. Still there. There's nothing that can compete the excellence of that book.
Yep. So that was amazing. Next up, Good Girl, Bad Blood. So I've read Good Girl, Bad Blood. It's apparently the second book in like a series. I
Yeah.
just got the second book and I read it before I read the first book. So I kind of know what kind of goes on in the first book. And this book is actually really good. It talks about like it's like it's not a continuation, but it's kind of a continuation where Jamie, who is like the main character's friend's brother, goes missing, and it's related to the first book with the Andy Bell and Sal Singh's case. So that was a really good book. I like mysteries stories in general, so I thought it was really good. Now, Sai, tell me your opinion on Good Girl's Guide to Murder, because I haven't read that and you've read it.
Yeah, so I thought you read the first book because I asked you what book you read, and then you were like under, I don't know, you were in a hurry or something to tell me
Yeah.
or something. So I think you told me that you read the first book. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna read the first book also, and okay, and you read the second book. So I think the first book was really good. It was also a really good mystery book, and I also like mysteries in general. And yeah, it was just an amazing case to solve. Like, yeah, you told like it's the Annibals and Sal Singh's case, and the way it turns out is never ever the thing you expected it to be. There's so many suspects, and then suddenly this one person out of nowhere, the person you don't think is going to end up being the killer, was the killer. So
Yeah, exactly. Even in the second book, it's like that, where you don't expect the person who is acting as someone else to be this. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but it's something related to catfishing, which I think is a pretty well known term online. So, and it's not the person you think it is. So yeah, it's related to a missing case related to catfishing. I think it's a good book. I feel like everyone should read it so they'll have like an idea of what's going on even in the online world related to like any online frauds. So yeah. Next
mhm.
up, our next book is Alchemist. We both read it and we just loved it because everybody was asking us to read it because it was really good. And it's like motivation in the form of a story. So you like don't forget how the universe conspires to make your wish come true. That was really one of the hands down best books as well. Like I feel like every human on this planet should read it, and even in space if there's anybody. Yeah, I think everybody should read it. It's such a good book, and it's said in such a simple way that even like kids will understand it and still get the meaning. So yeah, you say?
Yeah, so I think, as you said, it was a really, I feel like a motivational book. Not exactly motivation, but like, yes, you said the how the universe conspire. The thing for you to get your dream and achieve your goals. I feel like even a child can understand the real meaning of life through the book. It's a way like you can simplify how life is. And I think I do not regret reading the book. I was like, everyone's like, read Alchemist, it's a really good book, and it gives me like another insight of what I think life is. It's just not what we go through, but it's also a whole different thing, and it is a good lesson to learn too. I think everyone should read it. Even if
Yeah.
people are not there on space, they should find this book. Even if they don't find it on space, they have to find it. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, the next book we're going to talk about is The Cousins, again by the same author, One of Us is Lying. It was a good book. Like, I just read it recently, like maybe a month ago. I mean, in January. So, technically, it isn't a month ago, but still. So, it was a really good book. Like, it's some plot twist you never expect. I'm not going to give any spoilers again because, it carries on with the story legacy, and the ending is totally a plot twist. Like, you're not expecting this to happen, and then it happens. So, like, that's really very, I like her way of writing. I think it's very, like, it just makes you feel, like you're solving the case. I don't know if that makes sense, but it feels like you're solving the case, and then like at each point of the story, you think, "Oh, there's something wrong with this person," but then you don't know for sure, and then it turns out that there is like that thing is wrong and stuff, and it's really good. I really loved it.
I also read the book, so I think The Cousins, I read it before you, and it was always on my list to read. I don't know why, because I just like the author, the way she writes, and then I thought it was a really important book to read. I don't know, it's like my top priority to read it. The first book I've read in 2021. So, yeah. And yeah, as you said, I did not expect many things in that book. I mean, the way it goes from one cousin is not the other cousin, and
Hmm.
stuff
And
like
so
that.
on.
I'm not
Like,
spoiling.
no spoilers, but like something is going on with one cousin. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, the one cousin with the other cousin.
Yeah.
That
So
was
that was the book. Next up, Summer. No, Two Can Keep a Secret. Now this same author, really good book about, and it's like, it's something that you never expect, and it just shows up and you're like, oh, like, that what it is? And I just like it, it was a good book because it was by the same author. I feel like anything she writes would be good, and it did live up to my expectations. So yeah, I loved it.
And for me also, it lived up too much to my expectations. It was an amazing book. Yeah, I think everyone should read the book also.
Yep. Next up, we have Summerlost. This, I don't think it's a very well known book, but we actually really liked it. Like, the thing is, I started reading this in, I think, eighth grade. I took this for like during our school library lesson. I just took it and I started reading it. But I couldn't take it that week because I don't know, we weren't allowed to take books because exams were coming and stuff. So, like, if we take it home, they know that we'll read it and waste our time. Maybe that's why, I don't know. So, yeah, I basically read only like, I think 47 pages. And I was like, I was telling everyone, just remind me, I read only 47 pages. So, like, I got to start from there next time. And yeah, it was a really good book. And then this year, I was actually able to, talk about this and, I mean, read this and then, like, talk with you about it. And it was a good book. I like the way that everything was just so, like, I don't know how to explain it, but like everything happened for a reason, and then you see the ending. It did live up to my expectations. Like, I didn't expect to like it because at one point I kind of grew bored, like, towards the middle, but then I was like, by like this more of the, like, the ending, I was like, this is actually really interesting, and I liked it. So yeah, what's your opinion on it, Sai?
So I thought it was a good book, a classic book, and it was a nice book. And it was just about two teenagers living their life in a good carnival. I think so. Is it a carnival? Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
it's
Yeah.
not exactly a carnival, but like it's like a almost like a heritage site. Like, it's the theater where everybody goes, and yeah, that's what it is. So yeah.
So the ninth book we're gonna talk about is The Giver. It is basically about, it's another system of way people live, and they're divided. They're like given the assignments they have to do in their future, which is fun. I mean, they see upon your abilities and how you can, you know, become a better whatever profession they give you. So I think it's a really good book because in the book, I think the person was assigned a very important task. And yeah, I'm not going to spoil much. Nikita, tell me your opinion.
So I think it was like a, I mean, I'm not saying that this is a very like good system, but like I felt like they don't have the pressure of choosing what they want to do in the future. So like they'd be pressure free, whereas we were like, oh my gosh, there are so many options. So that's one thing I admire about the book. But yeah, this the main character, he gets to become the giver. That's all I'm saying. It's a very rare opportunity that's not given every time people get, like assigned to different jobs. So, like, it's a very rare thing. And yeah, you have to read the rest of the book to find out because I don't want to give any spoilers. So, yeah.
Yeah. So the next book we're gonna speak. It's not basically a book, but it's a series. It's a Divergent series. I think this is the second series book that was I was reading. I think after Harry Potter, I read this directly, and I think it was a really good book. Again, it's a divided into factions. I think, and it divides upon, and you can take the decision here. It depends. You're the one who decides for your future, and it's a. I think it's like basically like our system where you choose your jobs, but
Hmm.
here you're mainly like more classified and you can choose a little of yourself, and more of it is chosen by your how you perform in your factions.
Okay, before
So
I say like what I just wanted to ask you, which faction do you think you will belong to?
me, I feel like I'm an abnegation. I don't know why. I'm not dauntless. I
You
could be
are
anything.
abnegation because I feel like, you're very like a very nice, kind person in general. Like, I feel like you wouldn't do anything wrong, but you would still say sorry for no reason. So I feel like you're abnegation kind of person. For me, I would say like a mix of dauntless and abnegation, if that makes sense.
You're also erudite. I'm saying you're erudite.
Okay, yeah, so a mix of these. Because usually when I take it, I get like Dauntless as the most percentage. Maybe because I'm not exactly like brave and adventurous, but I'm like
But
confident.
you prefer dauntless also,
I
don't
do.
you?
I do.
That's why all your quizzes say you're dauntless because you put more dauntless ideas.
Yeah, but then like I answered honestly though. Like so it's like the percentage according to it. And I think it's like the order is more of Dauntless, then like a little bit lesser of Abnegation, and then a little bit lesser of Erudite, and last Candor, and then Amity. I don't even know if I'm Amity like person.
I don't think we're like that kind of person.
Yeah, we're not that kind of persons. So yeah, I think Dauntless, Abnegation, or Erudite. I can't pick. So yeah. And yeah, according to me, it was the third series I think that I've read, like as a series. The first was Harry Potter and then Percy Jackson. Obviously, those are the two classics that everybody reads. I hope so. And then this was Divergent, and I was like, it's such a good, like, it's so good. And like, I love Triss's character. Like, she went from the meek, timid girl she was in Abnegation to choosing her own life in I'm just gonna say which it is. Alert. She's gonna choose Dauntless. And yeah, so like she becomes a very, like very more bolder, stronger, braver character. She breaks away. So I think that's like a really good. She's also a very good like inspiration for us ladies. Brave ladies. So yeah.
You're clingy sometimes. Okay, yeah. So the 11th book we're gonna speak about is One of Us is Next. So it's basically the next book to One of Us is Lying. It's like a continuation. It's one of the characters, Brawen's sister, who's the main character this time.
Hmm?
And we come to know about how most people are bullied online also. And it's basically an online game which tricks people into saying the truth or doing a dare, like how we play truth or dare.
Yep.
But
And
like, yeah,
if
like a
you don't
very bad truth
respond and
or a
stuff,
very real. Yeah.
yeah, they don't respond, it'll say a truth that has never been like that they've never told anyone before, and that makes a lot of problems between friends, makes them enemies and all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's a good book, especially since it's a continuation of One of Slime, and obviously the author is amazing, so it's a good book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So the next thing and this is the last book we're gonna speak about. It's The Loneliest Girl in the Universe. In the universe, I'm so sorry. Okay. So this book I've read,
i
and
haven't read
Nikita,
I haven't read it.
she hasn't read because I bought this book because I one of my friends was like giving me a review about the book, and I was like, this sounds amazing. So I just bought it up, and then it's basically about girl who's stuck in an spacecraft, and she has like she is like her parents like died in the ship. It was a wrong process, and you come to know about a struggle of a person who's a human but has never seen Earth. She was born on the spaceship, and it just I don't know. It's kind of a sad book because her life keeps getting worser and worser, but towards the end also it gets worse though. But it is a good situation that ends. And then comes to a good position. I think it's a good position. I don't think every person would agree with me who read the book that she ended up in a good position, but I think how she ended up is a very, very good position for herself, that she gets away from all negative energies. So, yeah.
Next up, we're gonna talk about like books that we don't like. And this is like two books that Sai doesn't like and two books that I don't like. It's not that we don't like it. It wasn't just it didn't live up to our expectations.
Yeah. So, starting out with This Lie Will Kill You. I mean, see, I had great expectation for the book. When I saw the cover, the title, I'm like, this lie will kill you. I'm like, this is such a good book. It's going to be an amazing book. That's how I started out with. And there were many twists. I will agree with that. But the problem was the main question of the book was who did it and why they did it, like the murder, obviously. So I was like, anyways, those two answers are so clear. And why would you write a whole book with twists for two answers that you already predict? And I know Nikita has different views about the book, so she's going to share some.
So I didn't exactly like hate like not like the book. I actually liked it because it was fun to like, it was mysterious of sorts, and I loved the way that the author like put in a game, so it's like more interesting. But yeah, I do agree that the killer is predictable, because I mean, from the starting I had a hunch that it was this one person, and like there are plot twists, like who was with, you know him in making the uh mystery house which they get invited to. So yeah, it was pretty predictable.
Hmm. The second book we think that we don't like. I think Nikita, you've read this book. I haven't read it. So tell me about it.
Yeah, so that one is The Lost Symbol. It's by Dan Brown, and it's not that I didn't like it. I read it when I was in like seventh grade. So, because I didn't think it was that interesting of a book. I feel like if I read it once again, like a little while later, I would love it more. But then at that time, it just didn't appeal to me as like it wasn't like my reading level. It was a lot more harder, like, the words, everything going on. It wasn't like a story like interesting based. So I think I should probably read it like one more time after like finals, just to see if I like it again. I probably will, because I did like the story, but like at that time it wasn't just my go-to book. So yeah.
Yeah. So the next book I'm going to say is going to surprise millions, I feel. Because I feel like everyone loves this book, but this is not my kind of book. I would not, I didn't, not like that, but still, I just start, it's a Hunger Games. Like, I mean, I think the whole world likes it. That's why I started reading it. I had huge expectations again. I'm the person who has a lot of expectations when a person starts the book off. And I'm like, Hunger Games, it has like worldwide popularity. It's going to be amazing. But I end up with a book. I think I like the story. I'm not saying I hated the story, but still, it's like, in the middle, I feel like some parts with Peter and Katniss, I feel like they were like not that necessary, and I also felt that the second book and the third book were unnecessary also, because it just did not give them. I didn't want the story. It's like some places, like in some books, when you read the second and third book, you get to know more about the characters, and more, you have a better impression of them, or get to know their life story. But in this, basically, it was just about a war and the continuation of another Hunger Games series, the Hunger Game, the games. So I expected more from the book. So I wouldn't exactly put it on my best list, but it's an okay book. I don't think I loved it too much, but I didn't hate it either. So it's an okay book.
For me, it was kind of the opposite. I started reading it without, like, I just saw it and I was like, okay, I should probably start reading this. And I read it. It's like, to me, it felt amazing. Like, it was something that, oh, like, I wish I was Katniss, or like that kind of story for me, because maybe it was because I was a lot more like, I don't know, I was in like sixth or seventh when I read it. So yeah, like I said, it had a good storyline. So I really liked it. And those characters were like my favorites. Again, strong female character. Just putting it out there. And even I like Peeta and Gale and all those people. Yeah. So I like the way the book showed so many versions of their sacrifices, and how like their sacrifices finally paid off in the end. So that was really good. I think like I don't like it. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like the way that some people don't like it.
That
It's
is
like
mean.
no, it's just that, it's such a good, like, to me, maybe it's because you read it when you were like a lot more older, so you just thought it
I
was
read
like,
it in eighth grade.
still
When I
I
was
read
in
it in
eighth grade.
sixth or seventh. So like,
See, you
you
have a
know,
different opinion at that time, different mindset. I have a
yeah,
different
different
mindset.
mindset. I was like a very, like, I'll read whatever I want and I love it kind of person. So it just stuck to
Hmm.
me and I loved it. So yeah, I don't mind people who don't like it, but it's just that I feel like I don't know why people would not like it. But yeah, it's a really good book. To me, it was like one of the third was Divergent, and then the fourth series I read was Hunger Games, and it was like the first trilogy book, like, related to something totally different. So yeah, the districts and stuff, that was really fun. I liked it. I like fiction, so I liked it.
Yeah. So the last book we'll be talking about today is The Cursed Child, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, the eighth book of the series of Harry Potter. I mean, okay, this is, I think, more of Nikita doesn't like the book, but still, I mean, I like the book. I wouldn't say I hate the book, but still, it's all the books are like that. I mean, but I felt like the book didn't actually have to be there. I didn't feel like much of a continuation to what the wizard life and witch and wizard life was actually. I wanted more of Hogwarts, maybe because I'm too attached with Hogwarts. I don't know. I just couldn't see my characters, like my fave characters, just growing up having children. I don't know. It just didn't. I didn't want the book. Maybe if I had a choice.
Same for me. It wasn't my, like, it didn't live up to my expectations of the Harry Potter series. I liked it. I liked the way that it continued to the children, but I wanted more of Harry, Ron, and Hermione, the trio, and then, like, all of that. But more, what I got was a lot less interesting, because I felt like if they were there, the book would have been amazing. But, like, yeah, I get it. It's the continuation, so obviously they can't be at Hogwarts for the whole of their lives. They have to finish their studies and get a job and move out and all that. So yeah, I it wasn't my favorite, but I don't mind it. It was a good book, but, like, it didn't live up to my expectations, as Sai said. So yeah.
Yeah.
So those are just the books that we love and are not the biggest fans of. No offense to anybody. It's just our
These are
opinions.
all opinions.
Yeah, it's just our own opinions. So that's it for this week's episode.
Tune in next week for the next episode of our podcast.
Join us and let's vibe.